If LeBron pulls it off, 3 championships with 3 organizations, presumably would be the MVP of all 3. Obviously, he's got the first 2 with Miami and Cleveland. It would be something that has never been accomplished in the history of the NBA, Doris. 3 titles, 3 teams with 3 finals MVPs. If that were to happen, what would you say about LeBron's latest accomplishment if that became a reality?
Well, for me, Zubin, for over a decade, I've watched this guy pull off some extraordinary feats in the playoffs. So I've also witnessed his heartbreaks. So it's been one of the more fascinating careers in the history of the NBA. I did see Isaiah Thomas. I don't know whether it was in a social media format or on NBA TV, where he believes Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is the greatest to ever do it, but that LeBron might have some say before that's all said and done. Listen, all of those debates about the greatest ever are fascinating. They're a lot of fun for fans. I know for me, and I've said this to you before, Zubin, I feel lucky to have witnessed one of the extraordinary careers ever. And I think what's fascinating, and I love that little clip by Jay Will. He said at the outset of the season, we're going to play through Anthony Davis, and appropriately so. One of the undertold stories in this whole run to the playoffs to me is we started talking about this on the radio the other night. LeBron in this run is only averaging 34.1 minutes. Over the 16-year history of his career, his playoff minutes were 41.7. And there have been plenty of times where they've been in complete command in the fourth quarter, and so those minutes, have been able to come down. So I'm curious to see the longer this wears on and the more they can preserve him, the more dangerous he is, and that's never a good thing for his opponents.
Doris, let me ask you really quickly about Denver. If you're Mike Malone or if you're, one of these players, you're literally, you had to be having tape sessions over the last couple of days of watching, giving up an offensive rebound, a defensive breakdown on the last play. What kind of adjustments do you need to make in Game 3 in order to secure that win with that relentless comeback they had?
Yeah, I think one of the things you take incredible solace from is what your defense was able to achieve in the last half of that game. So they had been dominated in the paint through every other quarter and from the free throw line, and they only gave up 10 points in the paint in the second half. They consistently made Los Angeles play and execute in half court. You saw the game slow to their pace. You saw them make the necessary stop to not corral it with a defensive rebound, is obviously heartbreaking. But the other thing you saw, Jay Will, was the two-man game of Jokic and Jamal Murray start to have some effect in the series. And so, listen, as Jokic said, we've got to fight. Going down, 0-2 against the Lakers is a different animal, but I expect that they'll show the grit and toughness that they've shown throughout. But obviously that Game 2 loss felt pretty weighty in this series, that's for sure.
Doris Burke joining us here on Keyshawn, Jay Will, and Zubin, our NBA playoff analyst, and she will be calling the game tonight on ESPN Radio. Doris, let me ask you this. Which team right now has, out of the 3 that are left, obviously the Nuggets are down 2-0, but the 3 that are left, which team will give the Lakers the most problems?
Oh, boy, that's a great question, Keyshawn. Oh, boy. Well, I mean, the one thing you'd say is you have to be able to score against the Lakers. And I hate to be disrespectful or in any way sell short what Miami has done because their defense has been extraordinary. But they can struggle to get out of the gates to score it. In the game, Jimmy Butler's talked about them falling behind. My first inclination, especially now that Gordon Hayward is back, is to say the Boston Celtics. But I say that, Keyshawn, with this, sort of one addendum, and that is, can Kemba Walker find the consistent gear? Because there's been moments in these playoffs where, Kemba's pull-up 3 game and his ability to consistently get by people and either draw contact or get to his pull-up game, it hasn't been there consistently. And whoever beats the Los Angeles Lakers is going to have to play the full 48. And they're going to have to be able to play in multiple ways. Like, that's what the Lakers have. Incredible size. Their defensive numbers against Denver through the first 2 games are really good when either JaVale or Dwight is on the floor. They can play big. They can play small, fast. Their weakness is, can they get enough three-point shooting? What strikes me about the Lakers, guys, they are getting extraordinary three-point shooting. Contavious Caldwell-Pope in the playoffs, 44%. Rondo, 47.6% in the playoffs. And Danny Green, the one guy you'd think would be, north of 40%, is only 36%. Like the one weakness they've had throughout the course of the year, they've held up pretty well here in Orlando. So I don't know. I mean, to me, Keyshawn, the Lakers are the team to beat, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Doris, we'll see you tonight here on ESPN Radio, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, to see if the Lakers can put the Nuggets on the brink. But then again, maybe the Nuggets got them right where they want them because they've been playing on the brink the entire postseason. Thank you, DB.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus right now.